Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our show. I'm here with Stormy Wellington. Stormy, welcome to the show.
Hello, Eric. I am so honored, humbled, and grateful to be here today. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited. I'm connecting from Las Vegas. Where are you connecting from?
I'm actually right now in Miramar, Florida.
Miramar, Florida. Isn't that where like rich and fancy people live? It sounds fancy.
Yeah, when you get a little money, you tend to move more west, more Pembroke, more Fort Lauderdale area, West Palm Beach. So yeah, kind of, sort of. You know how it goes.
Kind of, sort of. All right. So I want to hear your story. I don't really, I know the little background that the team put together to tell me about you, and I also, know your name has been around in the profession for, to me, I was aware of you for quite a few years now. But I don't really know your story. So I want to find out, you're $1 million a year earner, and you've been around the profession for a while. I want to know, who are you? Where did you come from? What is your story? So where did you grow up? Well, talk to me about growing up.
So I must admit, I have a very interesting story. And to be quite honest with you, sometimes I ask myself, who am I? Where did I come from?
Right.
Because I just have this incredible way of using adversity and pain to fuel me, to use it as power versus, having that victim mentality, shall I say. To kind of make a long story short, I was raised by my mom. My mom was a single parent. My mom used to be in the streets. My mom was like one of the most notorious drug dealers that you could ever meet as a woman. And so at the very young age of 7, 8, 9, 10, I remember watching my mom handle her business, illegal business, but she did it very well. But I also watched my mom go in and out of prison. My mom spent a lot of time in prison. I remember the very first time she went into prison, I was about 11 years old. She left me and my brother with one of her really good friends who she thought was going to take very good care of us. She ended up abusing us, beating us with water hose. And at that young age of 11 years old, I remember like it was yesterday, rescuing my brother and I from that situation where I was the one who went to school and called Child Protective Services to get me and my brother out of that very harmful situation. So from a very young age, from watching my mom go in and out of prison, from being in foster care, from being once, what I used to call the abandoned child, from being someone who lived from pillar to post. At the age of 15, I had my first child, which ended up putting me in a position where I became a dancer. So I used to literally work in the exotic dancing profession.
Wow.
So I did that for about 3 years because I was a teenage mom. I ended up dropping out of school in the 9th grade. Literally 2 weeks into the 9th grade, I couldn't handle it because I needed to take care of then my very first son, who is now 22 years old. And so from a child, I have one of those stories that really and truly, who are you and where you come from? And so long story short, I end up, being in the exotic profession. And in that environment, you meet a lot of interesting people. And so in that profession, I met my daughter's father. So I ended up getting out of the strip club at about 19 years old, gave birth to my daughter, and took on another profession where I started to dabble and dabble in fraud. I did fraud, I did scams, I did everything illegal, literally, that a person could think of, including, get involved in drugs myself.
Wow.
And so when I found network marketing when I was 29 years old, I truly had no idea that I was going to become the success story that I am today. But I would like to tell people all the time that I just recycle my pain. And I took what I learned as a young child to create my reality on top of listening to people like you and, of course, Tony Robbins and John C. Maxwell and Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and all of those. So I'm a manifestation of my past, refined, not defined.
So what a story. I mean, my gosh. The thing that I find really fascinating in just listening to it, number one, it had to take some courage to get yourself out of the situation that you were in that was abusive for you and your family. And two, just being scrappy. I mean, what choices do you have? What options do you have in order to be able to put food on the table? And we become a product of our environment sometimes, right? Whatever our environment is.
I remember telling my mom, really, when I was a young kid, that you inspire me so much to not be like you. And she used to get upset, but really and truly, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but not the kind that she was.
So interesting. Well, I had a friend growing up, he and I are best buddies, and sometimes environment makes a huge difference in choices, right? We both grew up in the country. We both moved to the city at the same time. He had his father was in prison, and his mom moved to a difficult area of the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and my family moved to the suburbs. And his survival in that area was all around gangs and everything else, and he ended up becoming the leader of the Vice Lords, and I ended up becoming, going to high school and doing my thing. He was surviving in the streets. He ended up becoming the national leader of the Vice Lords in Chicago. And you can tell how that story might end. His story is still going, thank goodness, because he's now free from all that stuff. But our environment plays such a big factor. We all call ourselves, I'd never do this, or I would never do that, and until you get around situations where survival is the decision, right? So I want to hear about age 29. Age 29. Network marketing had to sound like eating your vegetables after all this wild story.
You know what? At 29-year-old Stormy was working this job where I was making $13 an hour. And you got to remember, I'm a high school dropout. I don't have any of the degrees to validate, who I am, right? And so I have this job. I'm doing collections. I'm making $13 an hour. And I actually worked on closed accounts. So my job decided back then to give me an opportunity, and they gave me accounts that they had written off. And literally in 6 months, I collected over $1 million in closed accounts. And so my defining moment to this very day was that moment when my boss calls me in the office, just celebrating my great performance. And they told me that they were going to give me a raise. It took them about 3 months to give me my raise. Now back home, Eric, my water was disconnected. I turned my water back on myself with a pliers. Nobody knew that. Only reason my lights was on was because I literally mastered payment arrangements, how to make payment arrangements. My mom, who was disabled at the time, was living with me. And back then I only had 2 kids. And so it took them about 2 months to give me my raise numbers. And when they told me that my raise was 25 cents, that was the day that I realized that in order for things to change, I have to be willing to change. And so I never believed in network marketing. I always thought it was a scam, a pyramid. I thought all the money went to the top, so I would never do one of those things. But I got started really just to retail products. I didn't understand the residual income. None of that stuff made sense to me. It really sounded like a foreign language. And so I got started back at the young age of 29. And all I did was push the products. And I used to force my way to get around leaders. And I always tell people, either serve your way into good relationships or you pay your way into good relationships. And back then, 2008, I couldn't pay for anything. So I literally became the humble servant of as many top earners as I possibly could. And so as I would be around them, I would glean from them. I always tell people, not what's taught is what's caught. And I used to watch how they moved, and I used to watch everything about them. And I remember saying to myself, man, if she could do this, I know that I can do it. And so one day I was left to do a meeting because my upline couldn't do the meeting. And I remember sweating and scared and stumbling over my words, but I had no choice but to sink or swim, right? And I did that presentation that day. And at the age of 29 years old, I went from no success, no experience, my first year in this industry. Okay, my first year without any personal development, any duplication skills, any leadership skills. My first year, I made over $1.2 million as an amateur in this industry. $1.2 million my first year in this industry.
From a standing start?
From $13 an hour to a millionaire in 1 year.
Unbelievable. So how many people did you recruit over that year personally?
I've always believed in heavily recruiting.
Yeah.
A lot of people they don't believe in it, but I believe in heavily recruiting because in my mind, even from back then, I know that the lifespan of a new person is very short. I don't care how much tools, how much things you give them, they have no belief. So I've always been a big recruiter. So my very first year, I probably recruited about 300 people.
Wow. And out of those 300, how many of them became significant lines for you?
Okay, so my first year out of the 300, we ended up growing the organization to like 200,000 people, by the way. And I had in that year, I had two other seven-figure earners, and I had maybe somewhere around 100 5 or 6-figure earners. I'm really big on retail. One of the things I love about our industry is the capabilities to retail a product and make money every day. And so that has always been my driving force, and it still is my driving force.
Wow. That's fantastic. Now, so I want to go to a few years has passed now since you've been involved in the profession. You said you have a 22-year-old son?
I have a 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, and today my son turned 5.
Are you cool? That's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah, you're good. You're going to be a great grandma. I started young. I thought I started young. My youngest is, when I was 22, I have a 10-year-old grandson now. So it's like, okay, here we go.
Right.
My grandson kicks it in. I'm gonna be a great grandpa by, 65 years old or 60.
That's not bad.
No, that'd be great, right?
Right, of course.
Be the young grandpa.
Exactly.
So I want to understand your philosophies. So you've built organizations around the world, grown organizations around the world, train people, teach people, lead people. Well, first thing I want to ask, I like asking this of all seven-figure earners. What makes you different? And I don't want to hear just the stage story that you tell everybody, if I can do it, anybody can do it, all that stuff. There's something in your DNA that's a little bit different because other people join your opportunity you're with today. Same day you didn't do anything. Some people joined, made a few bucks. Some people joined, got to a certain level and stopped working. There's something in you that's unique. How would you define it?
So I believe that I am the voice. I say every day that I am the voice of the Black woman. I am the voice of that woman who was once told that she was never going to amount to anything. I am the voice of a high school dropout. I am the voice of 3 kids from 3 different men. I am the voice of your past doesn't define you, it refines you. I am the voice of recycling my pain and turn it into power. I am the voice of tell me I can't do something and I am going to do it. I am the voice of everything I touch turns to gold. I am the voice of every woman around the world who really has made a decision that their life would mean something. They would not leave this earth until they have made some type of major contribution. And I believe that contribution comes through continued growth, continued connectivity. And I just said this morning that when I first started, really and truly, my desire to seek revenge. And when I say revenge, I wanted to prove to every living person who said I couldn't do it, who said I wasn't going to amount to anything. I wanted to prove them that, for the mere fact that you think I can't do it, I am going to do it. So revenge is just a driving force for me. Respect is a driving force for me. I don't want a person to look at me and say, oh, you high school dropout. No, I want a person to look at me and say, oh, you high school dropout. And residual income, I take care of my 3 kids. I'm a single parent still. I take care of my dad. Without me, my dad wouldn't even be alive. I take care of my sister. And I always say that there's a fear that makes you stop and there's a fear that makes you go. When I look at somebody like me, the world says I'm supposed to be on food stamps, which I used to be. I'm supposed to be on Section 8, which I used to be. I'm supposed to get WIC, which I used to get that. I'm supposed to get government assistance, which I used to get that. But I have a fear that if I don't continue to contribute to others, what will be the purpose of God even having me? For what? I believe that each and every one of us were created to contribute in some way, form, or fashion. And if you don't find your purpose, and your calling and your reason for being, then there's no reason for you being. That's my philosophy.
Wow, I love it. So let me see if I can distill it down from what I just heard. One is you have a really strong purpose. Your purpose for being, your purpose for building a business, your purpose for talking to people is really, really strong. Number two, you have a strong competitive desire to prove people wrong, prove yourself right, prove other people right, shut people up, right? Make them eat their words. You know, there's a little competitive juice, right?
Right.
And I've noticed the purpose and the vision is really, really big in top earners. And I've also noticed that there's a competitive element for sure. It's not necessarily about making somebody you're competing with lose, but it's making people who doubted you lose that drives you more. I was driven by two things. One is proving people wrong. That was super enjoyable. The other one is proving people right. Some of the people who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself,
right.
I wanted to prove them right. So it was all outer directed, and eventually it became proving something to myself.
Right.
That once I got there, I could stay there. You know,
right.
that was my biggest fear. Once I got there, was can I keep it?
Right.
Am I going to go back to my past? And you know, because I have a struggling past of 18 jobs before I got involved in this profession by the time I was 23. So, you know, figuring that out is an interesting journey. The other thing that I hear what you said so far is just a incredible work ethic. Like you're willing to just grind it. Just when other people, you get up before they get up, and you go to bed after they go to bed. You're grinding it, leading by example, driving the thing. And another word I hear over and over and over and over, and I don't know if this word fits you, but I'll ask anyway. The word obsession keeps coming up in these talks with top earners. They become fully immersed, totally obsessed in their vision, in their passion, in their contribution to other people, in their legacy. It's not just a casual thing. It's way more than just making money. It's way more. They think about it. They dream about it. They hang out with people who are thinking about it and dreaming about it. So, you know, those themes repeat over and over and over and over again. What else do you think makes you different? Because other people have drive, they've got a vision, they've got a purpose, but is there anything else that separates you from the field? There's your secret sauce?
You know what? I think one of my little secret sauces is that in this industry, I find that a lot of leaders who earn like the type of money I earn and even more, they often say that it's about quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
And I totally disagree.
You're talking about recruiting.
Recruiting, everything.
Yeah, they just they look for really, really great people instead of giving everybody a chance, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the average, ordinary person. I like to take the least and the last. I like to help the average person. I don't go after leaders. As a matter of fact, I really if they come, they come. If they don't, that's fine. I like the average, ordinary story, and I like to help the average, ordinary live extraordinary. And so I believe that what you lack in skills, you make in numbers. I think that this industry can really thrive if you understand the law of large numbers. So I didn't become, the girl that does 4 or 5 million a year because I go get networkers and I say, hey, have at it. No, I take the little person who could barely make their rent, barely make their light bill, may have dealt with some depression, may have never believed in the industry. And I say, hey, this is how we're going to do this. Be coachable, stay humble. I believe that humility is the key that unlocks the door to abundance. And I give them, my vision, and I ask them, what is their vision? And then together, I believe that alignment supersedes mechanisms. I believe when you align with the right energy, the right laws of life, understanding how to treat people. Like I don't care if you're the bus boy, or the owner of the building. I treat everyone as if they're the owner of the building. I think a lot of people don't really know how to treat people. And so I like a lot of people. I like the average person, and I treat everybody as if they're the best. And if they don't believe that they're the best, my goal is to help them to get them to the place that they believe that they are the best.
I love that. So talk to me about the culture that you have in your organization. What if people were to try to define your team, what words would they use to define your team?
You know what? That's a great question. And my team is a loving group of people. My team knows that it doesn't matter how much I know. They know how much I care. My team knows how much I love them. My team understands that we don't do negativity in my organization. We don't do gossip. We don't watch what other people are doing and compare ourselves to other organizations or other people. We stay laser beam focused. We are big on understanding that we have decided to engage in a vision bigger than ourselves so that no thing or no one can get in the way. That is our declaration and our mantra in our organization. My team knows that my goal is to help 1,000 families, and I can't do it by myself. So we represent, every year we reset our mind to get out there and to serve 1,000 families worldwide. And what does that mean? Is that we're going to help 1,000 families to become financially free, physically free, mentally free, and emotionally free. And for me, that's the definition of real wealth. And so my organization is just a group of people that really and truly understand that love supersedes everything. If you have no love in what you're doing, love for the company, love for the products, love for the industry, and love for people, if you can understand those four things, you'll be in a position where you will realize that when you grow yourself, you grow the people, and everything else will come. But it starts with love.
I love that. Can I switch to your basic method of operation that you teach? If you can do it generically, what do you encourage people to do every day? What's the baseline activity that you teach people to do on a daily basis?
Since 2008 to 2018 to 2028, what I teach people to do is, number one, obviously understand the overall vision of the company. That's easy. But if you find a company where you can earn $150 a day, whatever it is, focus on the consistency of earning $150 a day. And once you understand that and you follow up, and your goal is not just to earn $150 a day, your goal is to get to a place that you could put 45 people a day on an opportunity call. When you focus on doing that, I don't care what company you're in, $150 a day, consistency, doing that for 90 days, and putting 45 people a day on a call. I use the words guarantee. You could be a multiple 6 to 7 figure earner in 12 to 18 months if you could do that every single day, at least Monday through Friday for 90 days.
So back it up. Number one, you make the 150. Is that through retail or?
150 a day through retailing, whatever your company's product is.
Okay, 150 a day in retail.
Yes.
That's number one.
Yes.
How do you teach them how to do that? What do you teach them to do?
So find whatever the flagship product is you have in your company.
Uh-huh.
You embody that product. You be it, you live it, you love it. And now you contact every person in your cell phone and let them know what you have your hands on. Every single name in your cell phone must know that you're in this opportunity. You also have to respect the 3-foot rule. You can't just sit on the internet only. You got to get off the internet. You got to do your thing on the internet, but then you got to hit the streets. You got to go to beauty salons, barbershops, daycares. You got to talk to your lawn man, your car wash man, and you have to expose them to your business, whether you give them a sample or you give them the product through a sale. But you do that and you follow up and you develop a relationship with those people. And you respect that it may take 6 to 7 times for them to say yes. But if you do that every day and you do not go to bed and retire yourself until you have earned $150 a day. You must earn $150 a day.
How did you come up with the number 150?
You know what? I think it's because when I was making $13 an hour on my job, it averaged like $102 a day. And I actually quit my job and burned the bridge that could take me back. And so I had to replace my income, and I wanted to give myself a raise. So in my mind, if I earned my 102 plus another $48 a day, then I gave myself a raise. And that has worked since 2008 to right now. We have produced 10 millionaires in 3.5 years in my organization, not counting the 6-figure earners or the 5-figure earners. And the ones that win will tell you the common thread is we listen to 150 a day, and we put so many people in front of the information every day, and we did it consistently, and we did it with love.
So I love that basic foundation of the teaching everybody 150 a day, go out there. That's part of your culture too. If people were to ask about your culture, you people would say they go out there and they retail.
Retail is king for us. That's the lead. That's the beginning of everything that we do.
All right. So and second thing was get 45 people in front of the opportunity.
The goal is to get to a place that you can put 45 people a day.
To get to a place. Okay, so and how do you teach people how to do that? Is it to get them in front of a video? Is it to get them on a call? Is it to get them on a Zoom?
Great question.
What is it?
So obviously you follow up with that customer. So when you initially sell to the customer, you're not happy that you just sold and you walk away. No, you're now making a friend today. Mm-hmm. You're developing a relationship. Rapport is power with that person. By the time you get to follow up 3 or 4, y'all have a relationship. You ask them, are they open, to making another stream of income? You ask them, if you had a way that they can make an extra $150 a day, $1,000 a week, would they do they keep their options open? And when they say yes, you invite them to a call, a Zoom, whatever point of reference your team has.
Is there a baseline in your organization that you have them do? Is it a call? Is it a recorded video?
Yes.
Is it a live video? What is it?
So we have a video that we've had for the past 3.5 years,
mm-hmm.
and it works. We have 2 on-demand calls, and every single night, Eric, I don't care if it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, we do a call every night at 10 o'clock, a live opportunity call. One of our 6 or 7-figure earners would do that call every single night, even on Sundays and on Christmas night.
So it's a phone.
A phone call,
conference call. And how long is that call?
It cannot be longer than 30 minutes. They're coached to do it for 30 minutes.
How long is the video?
22 minutes.
Okay. All right. So I'm getting the understanding of the basic system. One is get out there and talk to people.
Yes.
Whoever, as many as you need to talk to, so you're making 150 a day.
I don't care who.
Yeah.
You do not go to bed until you have.
Don't go to bed.
You do not go to sleep until you made 150 a day.
I love it. And then second is get to the place. You might not start at 45 people a day, but get to the place that eventually you got 45 people a day. Now, are these prospects that you're getting on these calls?
They're prospects, but the goal is to get to that place within 90 days. If all of this takes place in 90 days, you are setting yourself up to have a multiple 6 or 7-figure year. Guaranteed, hands down. I know this works like science.
So where do people, if people start and they get like one person in front of the opportunity a day, that's okay, just so long as they're working towards the 45? Let's just say it's their second day.
I mean, it's okay if you want to move slow, but I believe that money loves speed and money loves energy. So if you want to move slow and you just want to make a little extra $100 a month, then go ahead. But no, that realistically, if you want to be that 6 to 7-figure earner, you have to put enough people in front of the information. So you're not moving from desperation, you're moving more from inspiration. Because one person in front of the information means 0.
I love your response. He's just like, what? What are you talking about? What? This doesn't even make sense to me. The expression on your face is like, what? Come on, So how do you respond to people that say, hey, I'm just trying to do this part time and I'm scared and this is a big thing for me and blah, 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 when you get all the excuses, what do you do?
I respect them. That's why I have a system. To be honest with you, I have a Monday night training call we do. We do Saturday trainings. We have meetings. We have the live calls. To be quite honest with you, I don't work with the people that have excuses. If you have excusitis, then go ahead and plug into the system, and I wish you very well. But don't expect to be the next story. And if that's okay, then, I respect. And I always tell people I move from a place of appreciation versus expectation, because I realize that everybody does not expect to be a 6 or 7-figure earner. You have people that really just want to make an extra $500. And if that's you, then of course you could put one person in front of the information. I mean, you could just retail, hell, and you'll be fine doing that. So I respect what a person wants. That's why when I first bring somebody into business, we talk. Are you married? Do you have kids? How much do you currently earn? Why did you get into the business? What is your expectation? So I could properly guide and develop the relationship based upon what they want, not what I want.
Mm-hmm. I love it. The simplicity, the focus, the drive. You set a high standard. You put an emphasis on speed, moving fast. I believe success loves speed, like you said. The world's not served by anybody playing small. If you're going to do it, let's go, right? People think that slow and steady wins the race, like they can be the turtle. Not in our profession.
Not in our profession.
No, you got to be the rabbit, then maybe the turtle to get some rest, and then the rabbit again, and then the rabbit again, and the rabbit again. So you talked about, tell me a little bit more about your system. Are events a big part of your culture, a big part of your organization as far as growth?
You know what? It's interesting you ask that because it's from season to season, it changes. I'm noticing that for my culture, if you do too many events, if you become too accessible, too all over the place, that people stop respecting it. And then you need to pull back and do a little bit more Zooms, a little bit more Facebook Lives, a little bit more maybe home parties, And then once they see that you step back a little bit and you come back on the scene fresh, then they're ready. Like I literally just did an event that I promoted for a week and we had almost 250 people in the room. And they were happy, like they were salivating for an event because our industry really is high touch versus high tech. But I think that you can do too much events and now people become professional event attenders. So you have to be very careful. And for me, I pay attention to the need, the desire, and the trends of my organization.
So talk to me about your company conventions. How often does your company have conventions?
So from the corporate perspective, convention, I'm talking about 5,000 people minimum. Yeah. We do that once a year. Okay.
So is that a big priority for you and your team?
Absolutely. We dominate. I tell my team, you're going to have a section, a seat, or the whole room, and you make up in your mind what you want to do. The one that brings the most gets the most. So, yeah, I'm really big on events. To me, that's a part of edification. If you don't attend events, you're de-edifying and you're not in alignment, and that doesn't work in our profession. You know that. So the company does one major event, and then every 90 days, 60 to 90 days, they do little events.
Like regional type events, yeah?
Little regional events. But we, in my organization, we create cultures where we believe in investing 15% back into your business. So we do our own events. We'll do our own magazines. We'll have our own little mini conventions in different parts of the world that we as leaders invest in ourselves.
I love that. Do you how do I ask it? Do you have a specific training platform that you promote?
So I obviously...
Because, I mean, it's gone beyond you within your organization and it's moved into other leaders and other leaders and other leaders. You've got lots of leadership within your group now. Is there a structure around the training that everybody kind of follows?
It's not as structured. One of the things I love about where we are is that we believe in building a business within a business. And I do know that there's a lot of leaders that believe that everybody should just follow one course. But I believe that there's so many different personalities. And in my organization, we have a lot of Latinos. We have a lot of people from Europe, a lot of people from Africa, South Africa, and they're very, very different. The African-American community is very different than the South African community. So everybody has, obviously, we have one training that we do on Mondays, which works like magic. Then I have, obviously, a website that people could go to. And then I often do leadership calls just to get my team in alignment. But really, we have multiple trainings. And if everybody, needs to come together, we come together on a Monday. Other than that, we are free to do our own little stuff to develop our kind of internal culture for our little,
Sure. Yeah, I understand. I was going to ask you about international growth. How many companies or countries are you involved in currently?
Oh man, I would have
more
to
than
say
10, more than 20.
Oh, of course, yeah, we're doing it. My team is doing it big time.
So what percentage of your business is outside of the United States?
Ooh, about 50-50.
50-50?
About 50. I have a very, very large Latino population, very large European population. And yeah, I would say 50 US and 50 international for 50-50 for sure.
I love that. When I'm working with top earners that have an international opportunity, what I tell them is within 5 years, you should have about 70% outside of your home country. 70%. You should have about 30% in your home country, about 70% international. That is, I think that's the healthiest balance because that kind of represents how the world is split up and you're taking advantage of it. And isn't it cool? You've experienced this, I've experienced this. Isn't it cool that when you go to sleep, somebody's waking up?
Of course.
And especially when they speak another language and they don't need you that much.
Yes.
You come in and you're just there to stand there and take pictures and sign autographs and say a few words that they translate on stage. But then they take it from there because
I'm literally going to Dominican Republic tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
they pre-sold 4,000 tickets. And it warms my spirit whenever I go. I walk in the room and they just start crying. I don't even say anything. I'm like, what is going on? They're just crying.
You're a representation of what it is that they want. You can come in, spend a few days, and have a big impact as a leader.
Yes.
And then go home and sleep in your bed while they're working their butts off.
It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Well, listen, we got about, 5 minutes left or so. I would like you know our audience here in Network Marketing Pro. We have people who want what you want, or want what you have, who are hungry to succeed in network marketing, who aren't quite sure exactly how to get there or dealing with their doubts, dealing with their fears. You've overcome yours. And you've used that to change people's lives within your opportunity and the people that you come to touch. Look into the camera and tell these people whatever's on your heart that you think might help them in their journey.
It's not how you start, but it's how you finish. Each and every one of us have that little something on the inside of us that tells us that there's more out there available for us. And it really is. But when you get to the place that you allow that voice to speak louder than your doubts, louder than your fears, louder than your past failures, and you allow that voice to speak loud to the point where it causes you to wake up early, go to sleep late, align yourself with people that are winning, and you get to a place that you work harder on yourself than you do anything else, I believe that nothing comes to you until you're ready for it. I believe that nothing goes away until it teaches you what you're supposed to learn. There's a reason why you're in the position that you're in. There's a reason why you have the access that you have access to. There's a reason why you've been exposed to this information. It's time for you to allow that voice to speak loud. You get out there, you prove to the world that it doesn't matter what you thought of me. It doesn't matter what I did in the past. But today is the day that I would draw a line in the sand. And I would say to myself that I am determined, dynamic, persistent, ambitious, and faithful. A beautiful, sophisticated professional called to be a loving, world-renowned motivator. And at the end, my name is Stormy Wellington. You speak your name, you speak life into yourself, and you prove to the world who you are. And I always tell people that all that I wanted to become, I became, therefore I am. If I could become, then you could become. And I promise you, the rest will be history.
Thank you for sharing your insights. I'm always fascinated by how people do it. There's success leaves clues through all of these different things. And I'm always looking for what's working for you, what's working for them, what are the common threads through all of this. But one of the common threads is you are a boss, you are a champion. You've got this thing figured out. And I think it's your personal power and your passion that separates you from the crowd, that's for sure. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on. I really appreciate it.